Hello friends, last time we had seen the structure of monosaccharides. Now today we are going to see the structure of disaccharides. First, briefly review about the classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, as we all know, are polyhydroxyaldoses and ketoses. They are classified as monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are further classified as trioses, tetroses, pentoses, depending on the number of carbon atoms. They cannot be further hydrolyzed to give monosaccharide units. Oligosaccharides, on the other hand, are the short chain of 2 to 10 monosaccharide units joined together by glycosidic bonds. These are classified as disaccharides, trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides on the basis of number of monosaccharide units. Polysaccharides are the long chains of monosaccharide units joined together by glycosidic bonds. These can be either homopolysaccharides containing only one type of monosaccharide units, or polysaccharides can be heteropolysaccharide containing more than one types of monosaccharide units. Before knowing more about the disaccharides, let us first briefly revise the cyclic structures of monosaccharides. Here the cyclization of glucose is shown. Glucose is a 6 carbon compound. Reaction between the aldehyde group at C1 and the hydroxyl group at C5 forms a hemiacetal linkage, producing either of two stereoisomers, the alpha and the beta anomers, which differ only in anomeric carbon, that is hemiacetal carbon, which differ only in the stereochemistry around the hemiacetal carbon. So here on the left hand side, carbon number 1 after cyclization has become chiral carbon, and the OH group is pointing downwards, it is alpha isomer, and on the right hand side the OH group uh, which is pointing upwards is the beta isomers. The anomeric carbon uh, configuration is shown in red here, and there can be interconversion of the alpha and beta anomers, and this is called as mutarotation. Now let us see how these cyclic structures form glycosidic bond with each other. Disaccharides such as maltose, lactose and sucrose consist of two monosaccharides joined covalently by an O glycosidic bond formed when a hydroxyl of one sugar reacts with the anomeric carbon of the other. So here, structure of maltose, how it is formed. There are two glucose units. Uh, the first glucose units, let us see the first number, that is first carbon, which is in alpha configuration. It is forming bond with the fourth carbon of the other glucose unit. So it is alpha 1,4 linkage of maltose. Here you will also notice that the carbon atom number 1 of first glucose unit is engaged in bond formation with the fourth carbon of the other glucose unit, which is shown in on the right hand side. But you will notice that the anomeric carbon of the second glucose unit, which is shown on the right, is free. It is not engaged in any type of bond formation. So this is alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, and this compound is named as alpha D glucopyranosyl 1 to 4 D glucopyranose. Now let us see the structure of lactose. Lactose consists of one galactose and another glucose unit. Here the lactose has anomeric carbon atom number 1 in beta configuration, which is forming bond with carbon atom number 4 of glucose. So this compound is O beta D galactopyranosyl 1 to 4 D glucopyranose. So this is lactose. Here also you will notice that carbon atom number 1 of glucose, the anomeric carbon atom number 1 of glucose is free. It is not engaged in any type of bond formation. Now let us look at the structure of sucrose. Sucrose contains one glucose and one fructose unit. The anomeric carbon of glucose is carbon number 1 and anomeric carbon of fructose is carbon number 2, and carbon number 1 of glucose is forming bond with carbon number 2 of fructose. So you will notice that the carbonyl group, that is the anomeric carbon of both the sugars, are engaged in glycosidic linkage and none of them is free. What is its significance? We will see shortly. When the carbonyl group is free, like here it is shown for the straight chain form of glucose. So CHO group is free to react. When it is free to react, it can be oxidized to carboxyl group. So CHO group can be oxidized to COOH group, and when in Fehling's reaction, Fehling's reagent is added, then ferric ions are oxidized to reduced to ferrous ions, and cupric ions are reduced to cuprous ions. So carbonyl group has reducing properties, and hence this type of sugar in which the carbonyl group is free, they are called as reducing sugars. So in maltose, the hemiacetyl carbon number 1 of second glucose unit is free, so it is reducing sugar. In lactose also, the glucose has carbonyl group free, and hence lactose is also a reducing sugar. But in sucrose, the carbonyl groups of both the sugars, glucose as well as fructose, they are engaged in bond formation and they are not free. Hence sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. So disaccharides can either be non-reducing or reducing. In the non-reducing disaccharides, the bonds are C1 glycosidic linkages like trihalose, and C1 C2 glycosidic bonds like we have seen in sucrose. On the other hand, in reducing disaccharides, the bonds can be C1 to C4 glycosidic linkage like in lactose maltose, or C1 to C6 glycosidic linkage like in Gentiobiose. This type of C1-C6 linkage is also present in polysaccharides starch. This we will see in next presentation about polysaccharides. Thank you.